Welcome into the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. On today's show, we got a minicamp preview for you guys taking place Tuesday through Thursday, June 14th through the 16th. So we'll take a look at some different position battles, things like that, 5 storylines in total to break down on today's show. But a little background as we get ready for minicamp here over the next 3 days. All 3 practices should have media access, which means we should have more information, get more tidbits coming out of these practices this week. It is mandatory, so we'll see if all the veterans are there, guys like Chris Jones and Frank Clark who weren't at voluntary OTAs, and hopefully that's the case, and hopefully we get more of an inside and closer look to this 2022 team. I would expect the intensity to ramp up a bit this week. You know, the Chiefs are a team, OTAs, it's, for some teams it almost isn't voluntary. I would put the Chiefs into that category. I don't think it's a huge deal for certain vets to not be there. But at minicamp, I think everybody should be there, and hopefully that is the case as we go along this week. What's the number one thing you're watching for at minicamp this week? What's maybe a storyline or a position battle or a specific player? Maybe you're keeping an eye on the rookies. I want to know the number one thing you're watching for at Chiefs minicamp. All right, here we go. We'll go one by one, top 5 minicamp storylines. And I think to me, the thing I'm most intrigued with is this wide receiver position and the overall competition at it for Kansas City, because obviously with Tyreek Hill not in the fold, it's not really clear what this wide receiver depth chart is going to look like. These are very loose, listings, if you will, of wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. I think 1 through 4 or 5 or so could easily be jockeying with each other for more snaps. I mean, is Juju a true 1? Probably not. Cole Hardman's not a 1. Sky Moore's a rookie. Valdes-Scantling has had a good camp, but in his career, he hasn't proven to be a 1. Josh Gordon's in the mix. Justyn Ross, Cornell Powell, Darius Fountain. A lot of competition. I think a lot of opportunity as this competition feels pretty wide open, not only for guys who are going to start, but guys who are going to make this roster. I mean, Watson was drawing a lot of praise during OTAs as well. So there's 9-10 guys jockeying for 5 or 6 spots, and then among those 6 who make the team, 3 to 4 of those guys are, jockeying for the most playing time. So it's going to be very fascinating to kind of see the tiers break down here for this position this year, because you don't have a Tyreek Hill. You don't have a clear wide receiver 1. You have Travis Kelce, but that's a different position. He'll be the top overall weapon on offense, I assume, but not the top wide receiver. Who do you guys think will end up being wide receiver 1 for Kansas City? Will it be Juju? Will it be Valdes-Scantling? Could it be a sleeper like a Josh Gordon or a Justyn Ross? Don't think that's likely, but who the hell knows? Let us know in the comments who will be this team's number 1 receiver. Our next Chiefs minicamp storyline is around the edge position, the depth, or really the lack thereof, as we've talked about this for months here on the Chiefs Report. That's why I was pushing to sign Jadeveon Clowney. That obviously did not happen. I'll be honest, I've got major concerns at the position. That's why I wanted to see Frank Clark at OTAs. I think that would have sent a good message, but clearly he's comfortable enough where he's able to skip those. I just look at this position group on the edge, and I'm like, where's the depth? The starters of Clark and Karlaftis have some potential, but it's not like that's even a certainty to give you incredible production. Is Joshua Kando going to be a reliable rotation guy? I like Michael Dana as a rotation guy, but you're pretty thin there. Like, say Clark or Karlaftis gets hurt, you're, drawing straws at the edge position. And I think on top of all that, you're banking on Karlaftis to being an impact player right away, which, look, first-round pick, 30 overall. You should expect him to give you at least some good snaps, but you're asking him to do a lot. You're asking him to be a starter and a high-level one, in my opinion, right away. And that's hard for any rookie, much less a guy who was picked 30th in the first round. I don't know how realistic that is. And even if he and Clark play really well, your depth is still spotty at best. I mean, the depth is not there at defensive end. We'll see if a couple of guys kind of, jump off the page this week and maybe you feel better about that position, but I'm still in the camp. I think you're going to have to sign a veteran edge at some point this offseason. Help us reach 3,000 followers on Rumble. We are approaching the 3,000 mark very quickly here, and among all the Chat Sports channels, not many have reached 3,000. So help us get there. Help us be the next channel that gets there. Daily coverage. We're live over there right now here on the Chiefs Report over on Rumble. Rumble.com/ChiefsTV. Let's get to 3,000 followers for more unfiltered access to the Chiefs Report. All right, let's talk running backs now, and I'll put competition in air quotes because maybe it's a competition, maybe it's not. I think it's more of just a committee, if I'm being completely honest. I assume Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be RB1. I think when the Chiefs take the field in September, he will be the first running back in that huddle. But now that Jerick McKinnon's back in the fold, I mean, really any of your top three guys could start. Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones, Jerick McKinnon. I think they're all going to play. I think they're all going to get playing time. Like I said, CEH will probably get that first crack at RB1, but I expect Ronald Jones to get opportunities. I expect Jerick McKinnon to get his touches as well, especially as a receiving back. I think that'll be the primary role for him, passing downs, third downs, that type of thing as well. So I think this is going to be a committee of sorts, but I'll be interested to see if CEH gets unseated because I think the Chiefs want him to be RB1. They spent a first-round pick on him. Let's be honest, the results through 2 years, not great for the former first-round pick. Who's going to have more rushing yards this year? I don't think Jerick McKinnon will be in this category in terms of pure rushing yards. Total yards, different story perhaps. Type CEH for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, type RJ for Ronald Jones. Who's going to have more rushing yards for the Chiefs this year? If you haven't already, I highly recommend that you subscribe to the Chiefs Report. If you love this football team, we're the channel for you. We're bringing you coverage on a daily basis here, the latest Chiefs news, rumors, minicamp preview like this video, and tons of other segments and shows as well. Hit that subscribe button. We go live every Monday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time. We have you covered and answer all of your questions. Next storyline for minicamp, cornerback pecking order. I think it's going to be pretty clear who the three corners are when you're in nickel base, which their base will be nickel, I believe. Rashad Fenton, Trent McDuffie, the rookie out of Washington, L'Jarius Sneed. I assume Sneed will play the slot again, but the nice thing about these three guys, all three of them can play slot or outside. They're very, very versatile players. Fenton has done both in his career. Sneed has done both in his career. McDuffie, I think, has the skill set to go inside or outside. So again, the labels, the CB1, 2 slot, it's all irrelevant in a certain sense. Obviously, slot a little more relevant to see if he's going to mostly line up there. I assume that'll be the case based on what we saw last season. The starters are clear, but the roles may not be. We'll see what happens there. And plus, let's see, does Lonnie Johnson get a chance to crack into the lineup and get some snaps? They traded for him. He's done some decent things with the Texans in his career. You've got DeAndre Baker still, who's a former first-round pick. So, that pecking order is kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. I think your three starters are pretty clear, but, things could change, and we'll see how things look at minicamp this week. Who do you think will be the overall best corner? Not necessarily CB1, but just the best corner on the field this year. Type F for Rashad Fenton, type S for L'Jarius Sneed, or M for Trent McDuffie. I'd probably go Sneed as the top guy, although you could really make an argument that Fenton was this team's best corner last year, even at times Charvarius Ward, who's no longer on this team. F for Fenton, S for Sneed, or M for McDuffie. All right, final storyline, and it's not really an on-the-field storyline. It's the Orlando Brown contract watch continuing to roll along here. Just over a month out till that July 15th deadline to sign franchise tag players to long-term extensions. Could a deal happen this week? I mean, it seems like things could be moving quickly here as his agent, Michael Portner, and the Chiefs officially met for the first time last week. Negotiations appear to be ongoing. We'll see. Obviously, Orlando Brown is going to get a lot of money. This was my projected contract for Orlando Brown. 5 years, $107.5 million, 21.5 per year, and then $75 million guaranteed. That was the projected contract I had for Orlando Brown. We'll see if it's a little bit more than that. Certainly could get to over $22 million per year, but it's all going to depend, and I do think it could happen this week. I would venture to say it'll happen after minicamp, sometime between the end of minicamp and July 1st. I don't think they want to push this to the buzzer all the way up to July 15th, but these things, they can drag out. But it seems like there's some goodwill happening between the two sides. I don't think it's going to take forever. All right, there you go. Some storylines to watch this week for Chiefs minicamp. What's the number one thing you're watching for at minicamp this week? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll be interacting with you guys right there.